lessons, login, then lessons. This is what you should have done. Quiz 1, begin. The 5th exam for the course, the final exam is required for all students. That's true. If you go right here, it says it's highlighted and whatever, shaded. The 5th final exam is mandatory. How many exams out of the first 4 can be dropped? The lowest exam grade, which would be 1, out of the first 4 exams will be dropped, so that would be 1. And then your section, if you just read the top of your syllabus, it's AC, okay? So hopefully we're good there. If we're not, like I said, come see me and we'll figure it out. So normally when I post the exams, what I'll do is it'll be still under lessons, so you click lessons, and then I'll have notes for exam 1, and then everything included in that, like we'd gone over on Tuesday. Everyone see that okay? It's not washed out. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start into the notes. Again, I know I said this Tuesday. I just want to real quick for when you take the quizzes. I know that one took not long at all to do. I'll give you more time than you need, okay? I'll put a time limit on it just so you're not leaving it open for 24 hours, but it'll be way more than you need, okay? So if I have 5 questions, I'll give you 15 to 20 minutes, right? Way more than the standard 1 minute per question. But that being said, make sure you have everything you need set out for you before you take it. I'll have it open for more than 24 hours as well. I'll make every attempt. So like today, it opened at 9:30. You have the remainder of today, you have Friday, you have Saturday, you have Sunday, you have all Monday. And I guess if you really wanted to wait until the very end, you could do it anytime before 9:30 on Tuesday, okay? So you have 4 days. The idea with that is, I understand everyone has a life, you have families, you have jobs, all that stuff. You should be able to block out 15 minutes of your time for a quiz. It's going to count as a full test grade eventually when they're all averaged together to basically, hopefully, give you 100% on a test being averaged in with the other ones, okay? It was open book the whole way, okay? That's my goal. So, take them seriously, all right? Obviously, they're not going to be all this easy. They'll actually be questions, but you have your notes. I'll pull them right from the notes. That is how I ask my questions. Multiple choice, true, false for the most part. If I have a matching, maybe on the next quiz I'll show you a matching. I'll give you the word bank, all right? And it'll be, again, right from the notes. So, make sure your computer's charged or plugged into the wall or whatever, that you have good internet. You can take it at school if you want. Again, if it only takes you 5-10 minutes, you can just run up to the lab and do it in between class. So make sure you have a good connection. If something happens, I know with technology stuff happens. If something happens, tell me as soon as it happens. So if you go to take the quiz, I know everyone took it, but if you went to take the quiz on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, while it's still open and it closes on you or your computer crashes or whatever, send me an email, let me know. Dr. Tim, I logged in, I was going to take the quiz and my computer shut down and I know it automatically submits, so I got a 0 on it. Okay, I can work with that. I can also tell Blackboard logs everything, so I can tell how long you had the quiz open for. So just be honest with me, all right? If you're telling me the truth, I'll work with you. If it's Sunday and you're logging in and it says that you had the quiz open for 30 seconds or for a minute or something like that, okay, that makes sense to me, right? That's probably what you were doing. I know they were easy questions, but if it were me, I'd probably be double checking everything in the syllabus anyways. So I can see that. I can reset it, and I'll set it back to 0 for you and let you take it. But at the same time, don't email me, hey, as soon as I logged in, my computer crashed, and I don't know what's happening, and Blackboard's stupid, and it's not letting me do it. And then I see that you were logged on for 45 minutes, or I gave you a 15-minute time limit, and you were logged on for 14 and a half minutes. No, I'm not going to let you retake it, okay? So if you have an issue, let me know. Also, don't wait till it's done to do it. If the problem happens on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and this goes with anything over the course of the semester, let me know as soon as it happens. Don't wait till class on Tuesday after it closed, come in at 9:30 and say, hey, it closed on me, and so we have a problem. You have a problem, I don't have a problem. You have a 0, okay? Once it closes, I can't reset anything. While it's still open for those 4 days, all I have to do is check a box, and it says reset, and I'll be able to reset it so you can take it, okay? So make sure we do this as it happens, all right? Again, I'm not trying to go over stuff too much, but I know it's probably gonna still happen over the course of the semester, but just email me, all right? I'll work with you. I really want everyone to do well. Any questions on the quizzes? Pretty straightforward, make sense? Okay, cool. All right, so, so what this chapter does is it kind of sets the stage for the rest of the semester. It's going to be an introduction to what microbiology is, an introduction to really what we're going to talk about. Also, not that you're buying the book, but if you had, the book is 1,000 pages and there's a lot of chapters and some of them we don't even touch. So I'm highlighting what we have to for the course outcomes. So with the chapters, you'll see we're jumping around a little bit. That's fine. I'm only testing you on the notes I give you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right. Microorganisms. Microorganisms, this will probably be a test question just because it's a definition and it's easy, but we have to know what it is because that's what we're talking about the rest of the semester. Organisms that are too small to be seen with the unaided eye. So does that mean if we have glasses and contacts that we can see microorganisms?
No.
Good. No. What glasses and contacts do is they're corrective lenses, right? They're corrective lenses to help us see what ideally we should be able to see. They don't give us x-ray vision. They don't allow us to see 2 miles away. We can see what the average person sees with that. So the unaided eye, we need an aid. That would be a microscope. That would be a magnifying glass. That would be something that magnifies it more than quote unquote normal. Okay? So keep that in mind. It's something that we can't see with our eyes, with glasses, with contacts. We need a higher power. Microbes include bacteria, which we're going to spend a great deal of time talking about. If you're signed up for lab, that's what you're going to be dealing with, not exclusively, but almost the whole semester. Bacteria will be most of the experiments. You'll do some with yeast and things like that, but mostly bacteria. Fungi, protozoa, microscopic algae, and viruses. So over the course, you'll talk about helminths in lab, you'll talk about algae. The way they group everything in here is if at some point in its life cycle it was microscopic, we'll talk about it in microbiology. A few of them are pathogenic, which means they cause disease. Pathology, pathophysiology, everyone's taken anatomy and physiology, right? Anatomy is a structure, physiology is the function. Pathophysiology, patho is its diseased function. It's not functioning like it should. So a few of them cause that. They can cause disease. We don't even know, and we never will discover, all of the microbes around us in the world. So out of that billions and billions and billions of microbes, a few of them that we've discovered are pathogenic. So they're not, when you hear bug or you hear bacteria or viruses, we think bad right away. There's a lot of good bacteria. A couple things they help us to do. Decompose organic waste. Sewage treatment plants, so the sewage that comes from our plumbing, from your toilets and stuff like that, goes to a sewage treatment plant and is treated. they use microbes to help break it down more quickly. So they can be very helpful. Generate oxygen by photosynthesis. Everyone remembers what photosynthesis is. So using light to harness that energy to create energy for plants. They generate oxygen. Plants give off oxygen really as a waste product to them. They're not going to be able to use it. For us, we need that. It helps us to make energy and to convert energy. Whereas plants use carbon dioxide, which is our waste product. If we don't get rid of the carbon dioxide in our body, the blood becomes really acidic. We can't use enzymes, hormones are going to be affected, our whole body's going to be affected, and it can result in death. So, a symbiotic relationship there. Produce chemical products such as ethanol, which is an alcohol, acetone, nail polish remover. Vitamins, vitamin K, B vitamins can be created and converted in the gut. Produce fermented foods such as vinegar, cheese, and bread. So, not that you want wine that's turned to vinegar, but that's what can happen when you hear wine going bad. The microbes basically decompose it, change it into the vinegary. Cheese, bread, yeast. You have brewer's yeast for beer, but yeast for bread to cause it to rise. Produce products used in manufacturing. Cellulose, if you turn a lot of packages around, you'll see cellulose. It gives it body, used for that. Disease treatment. Insulin, so everyone here knows someone, I'm sure, that is affected by diabetes, so insulin, life-saving and very necessary. Knowledge of microorganisms allows us to do a couple things. Prevent food spoilage. It sounds silly now, but way back, they didn't necessarily know what's causing this, what's making it go bad. Oh, we have to keep it cold. We should use salt to dry it out, that type of thing. Prevent disease. Prevent disease transmission, prevent disease spread on a small scale and on a large scale. A family being affected versus a community, a town, a city, a state, a country, internationally. We have all those diseases that spread internationally when we talk about epidemics. We want to keep that from happening as best we can. It's not, when you think of, go to your grade school history class, right? With the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, most of the deaths didn't come on the battlefield, right? They came from disease. They came from, you didn't die from getting shot in the leg on the battlefield. You died from the bacteria or the disease that's set in because you didn't take care of it properly, because they didn't know better. Or you died because they had to amputate your leg because it was shattered, and they used to just line everyone up, and just the surgeon would come down and do what he had to do on each and every person, right? Yeah, wipe down the instruments, but they weren't disinfecting them. So everyone got the same thing, bacteria, disease, all that stuff. Most of the deaths came from that, not from actually on the battlefield. Then they started practicing aseptic technique. Hey, this is why people are dying. We can save a lot more people if we're smart about it and use clean instruments. Okay, let's try it. Delivering babies, the same thing. It sounds really silly to think this, but when you think of the Salem witch trials and all that stuff, the village didn't get wiped out. The family didn't get wiped out because someone looked at them wrong or they had a hex put on them. They died because there was a plague or because there was a disease or because the flu or pox or whatever spread throughout that family. That's why everyone died, or that's why the community was affected. We know this now. Back then, when you don't have the understanding of it, it became the spirits. The spirits were what affected this entire village and caused everyone to break out. Now they can go back and actually study tissue from those people and things like that and say, this was actually a smallpox virus, or this was actually, what killed them. They can go back and pathologists can actually understand that. But at the time, we didn't know about it. Understand what causes and then what allows disease to spread. If we can understand that, it goes a long way in preventing it. If anyone remembers back to the mad cow disease. I know it was a while back, but a lot of the beef, I don't know where it comes from now, but a lot of the beef from McDonald's came from Canada. It was imported from Canada. So it started out in the United Kingdom, Britain, UK, because of their trade relationships, spread to Canada, and then the United States put a stop, basically sealed the border, said you can't bring beef from Canada imported into the United States for a certain time. Now you can again, but for that time until they figured out what the heck was going on and how it was spreading, they said no, you can't. So that type of thing. If we understand how it's spread, we can take precautions. The microbiome. Normal microbiota, so microbiota is, they used to use the term flora and fauna. We might have talked about that in biology in grade school or high school. Now we refer to it as the normal microbiota of a person.
Okay. Did you mean to say over one?
No, I didn't. Sorry, thank you. So the microbiota is our microbes, the microbes that make us up. Okay? So if we were to talk about the microbiome, every single person in this class has a different microbiome. You might share a lot of the same microbes in our gut, on our skin, that type of thing, but it's not all going to be the same. Some people, their normal microbiome includes MRSA. It's on their skin. It doesn't affect them unless you have a cut that you don't take care of, but a small percentage of people, that's normal for them. So the adult human composed of 30 trillion body cells. Again, going back to A and P, we know what the cell looks like, we know the organelles in the cell. So 30 trillion. On us and in us are another 40 trillion bacterial cells. So they outnumber us by at least 10 trillion, which is astronomical. Microbiome is a group of microbes that live stably on or in the human body. So this is normal to us. It helps us. It's why we can do what we do. It's why we can digest food properly or improperly if we have overgrowth because we're not having a healthy diet. So under normal circumstances, they help us maintain good health. They can help us digest. They can help protect our skin from having fungal outbreaks or anything like that. Can prevent growth of pathogenic microbes. How does that happen? I talked real briefly about it on Tuesday. How can having microbes on us prevent growth of bad ones, we'll say, pathogenic ones?
They take space.
Good. They take up space, and what else?
They might fight the ones you don't know.
They can, yeah, you're right. They can fight them. They can actually kill off the other ones. If they're taking up space, we'll go with that one. If they're taking up space, if they're fighting off other ones, what are they also going to be doing if these bacteria, say we have this big a space, and it's pretty much filled with bacteria that's helpful to us, or doesn't harm us at least? What's going to happen if something else comes and tries to set up in that exact space? It's not really going to have much real estate, number one. But what else? How about food? Is there going to be much food for it? Mm-hmm. Competition, right? If anyone grew up in a bigger family, or if you're a small family and just really cutthroat, what happens? I had 3 brothers and a sister, and my dad was a pretty good eater too. So it was one of those things where you usually, if you really liked it, you'd eat as fast as possible so you could get to the seconds before someone else, right? So kind of that's what helps us too. It's the good bacteria is going to use up the food supply, so there's nothing left over. Going back to the example, I think I mentioned it Tuesday, with a lawn. If you have a super well manicured lawn, I'm not talking you're spraying pesticides on it, but you went out there and you manually weeded, and there's pretty much no weeds, and it's just really thick, almost carpet-like grass. Right? Is there going to be a lot of space for weeds to fight through and pop up? Probably not, right? Think about dandelions. They can grow anywhere. But if your grass is, they say, healthy grass, real thick, and then you want it to be a little bit taller, if, say, it's 3-4 inches high, the dandelion releases its seeds, it comes along. Number one, it's not going to germinate on the top of the grass, so it has to get down through the grass to the soil. If it's very thick, it's going to have a tough time with that. Then it has to germinate, so there has to be adequate soil and water and temperature for it. Then it has to fight its way up to get sunlight, because after it germinates, now it needs to perform photosynthesis. If the grass is 3-4 inches tall, it's a longer space to go than if you cut your grass really short. Plus that grass is fighting for nutrients. So, kind of the same thing. If we have proper diet, we're not eating too much refined sugar, because everything likes to eat sugar. Pretty much every plate that you do in lab has sugar on it. So the agar plates. So if it doesn't have food and it doesn't have the proper surrounding, it's not going to flourish. May help train the immune system to discriminate threats. So what you said, right? Certain bacteria will kill off other bacteria. It doesn't like to compete. Or it can create an environment that maybe this bacteria actually increases the pH. So now it's more basic. And this bacteria that's coming in and wants to set up likes a more acidic pH. So it won't work that well. So normal microbiota, the collection of acquired organisms on or in a healthy human being. It's important to note that it's on a healthy human being. As we go, we'll talk about opportunistic pathogens. You might have MRSA on you as normal. We might have some type of staph on us that's normal, on our normal skin. Doesn't harm us. But what happens if we get a cut and we don't clean it out and put a Band-Aid on it and let it heal properly, or we keep picking at it after we're not washing our hands or something like that? Then it takes that opportunity to go through the armor. Right? Oh, we had a cut. Now it has an entryway right into the blood, or at the very least into tissue where it's warm, where it's moist, and where there's food and fuel. So those would take that opportunity. Normally, they're not harmful to us. In a healthy human, they're not going to cause any issue. Okay? So we're talking about healthy people right now. We acquire it as soon as we're born. More and more studies now. If anyone has a family member or themselves have had a child recently, it's being pushed more and more, if possible, ideally a natural birth or a vaginal birth, we'll say, right? Versus cesarean section. C-section, absolutely necessary sometimes, right? If the mom's in danger, if the baby's in danger, we need to get the baby out, right? So absolutely necessary. However, think of the location. Cutting and pulling a baby out versus the baby fighting its way, going and being pushed along the birth canal, completely different. Number one, for development of the lungs, of really everything. It does help the natural birth, but also, where's it being born? Your skin is where the first contact that newborn's going to come in contact with, right? If you're pulling out, through that area. If the baby is born vaginally, you're coming out right by the anus. GI system, that's going to give the first bacteria to the baby, is going to help populate its gut. When they've studied the guts of cesarean versus the vaginal birth babies, they found they have very different bacteria in their GI system. So, United States, a lot of our digestion issues really are just because we eat like garbage. But in healthy individuals, if you're having bacteria that's not normal to that area, and you have no immune system to even push you in one direction versus the other, it can make a big deal. It can have a big impact. So that's really important. May colonize the body indefinitely. It might be there for years or for almost a lifetime. Or it might kind of be passing through a day, a week, a couple weeks, a couple days. Those are referred to as transient. Right? Transportation, transmit, it's going from one place to the other, right? So transient microbiota, it's on us, we're healthy, we're doing fine, but it's not our normal, let's say. It's just passing through. And think about all the stuff we touch on a daily basis. Right? You hug someone, you shake someone's hand, give someone your phone to borrow, lend them a pencil, a pen, sheet of paper. When I handed out all the sheets of paper, how much contact we come into all the time. You go to the gym, anything, open a car door, and it's not bad for us, right? Colonization can occur at body sites that provide nutrients and the right environment for the microbes to flourish. Certain microbes like a certain environment. Think of us. Some people like a little warmer, some people like a little colder. Some people like certain foods, some people don't. Microbes are the same way. So they like a certain environment. They're going to go in an area that provides nutrients, provides that environment that they want. Why do we have bad breath in the morning? Because we just slept for a couple hours and it was a warm, moist environment and we have bacterial overgrowth. That's why you brush your teeth to manually debride them, right? You brush your teeth, you're basically brushing the bacteria away. You use mouthwash, Listerine, or anything like that, really, you're actually chemically, you're killing them, right? So, yeah, you're gonna kill some of the good ones too. Yeah, you will. Luckily, you have your throat in the back that didn't get everything, so they can grow back. So, the right environment. The right environment doesn't always mean that we want them there, though. So, when you think of if we're eating a really high sugar diet, all bacteria, basically all microbes, love and can use sugar. So if we have a really refined sugar diet that's not really healthy for us, we can have massive overgrowth in the gut. People feel bloated. People have their stool changes. You're going to be vitamin deficient because you're not going to be able to make the right vitamins. All those things tie in with diet in a huge, huge way. Body odor. Everyone knows what we're talking about. When you go through puberty, the body starts releasing different hormones and different chemicals. The reason that the odor occurs is because of bacteria. You can use antiperspirant to stop from sweating. You can use deodorant, which just, if we make something smell nicer, then you won't smell the BO, right? So you can approach it a couple different ways. But either way, what's making the smell is actually bacteria. So that's why you wash and keep clean. There's a certain amount of people, I don't know the exact number, it's definitely less than 15% of people that actually don't produce the food source, if you want to think of it. Their sweat doesn't contain the certain chemicals that those bacteria feed off of. So those are the people that they don't produce any body odor. People will say, oh, I don't sweat. No, you sweat, you just don't produce that part of the sweat, that chemical that is used as food. And think about it, when we sweat, usually you go to a hard basketball practice, right? Or you're outside gardening, or building something, working, or going for a run, whatever. And it's either inside and you're getting really warm, you're working out, or it could be outside and it's the summer and it's really hot. Or you're still blowing or shoveling the driveway and we still sweat. We don't smell bad, right, when we're sweating, right? You could be doused, drenching, dripping with sweat. Someone might say you're gross and they don't want to touch you, but you're actually not smelling, right? It's after it dries or it's after it's been going on for a long time because the bacteria need to metabolize those chemicals first and set up. But
is it what you eat that elevates your...
It can. It definitely can, for sure. If anyone's ever had a relative, it's probably more of a relative than us, that really like garlic, you could actually, some people smell like garlic. You can take garlic pills. Garlic's really good for you in terms of holistically. It's antimicrobial. So some people will actually take basically chopped up, ground up garlic in a pill form, and it can help you. But once you reach a certain threshold, it actually permeates out of your pores, that smell, because it's a certain type that's unique to that plant. So it can be really influenced by diet, for sure. Halitosis, if anyone knows anyone that they just have bad breath, it's usually from an overgrowth in the stomach, in the lining, and it's that in the mouth sometimes. It's that bacteria or that microbial overgrowth that's causing the smell. It's not just that they smell bad because they just are, right? There's a reason for it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, 'cause I got a family member, he eats venison, and his BO is like different.
Well, definitely plant-based diet versus animal-based diet will make a big difference too, because then you're talking about all the hormones and really all the chemicals that make up animals versus plants are different. So yeah, absolutely, it can affect that. If anyone knows a person that sometimes you'll have fungal overgrowth, or they'll say, oh, I have a rash or something like that. And my youngest brother actually had this happen when he was, I think he was like 12 or 13 or whatever. He had just like darker blotches of skin. It was fungus. So he would take more showers than anyone though. So it was one of those things where we went to the doctor and they said, you're too clean. Think about it, when you do Purell and all that stuff, if you're taking 3-4 showers a day, you're washing yourself, especially if you're using soap. Number one, you're drying your skin out. We want to put lotion on, especially in the winter. We don't want dry skin because that's basically a crack in our coat of armor that microbes can get in. Also, if we're washing our slate clean all the time, what did we just talk about? That normal microbe that helps to cause competition and take up food and all that isn't there anymore. So it's easier for something to come in and set up. If anyone's ever heard of thrush, with little babies it's really common, or usually most commonly in adults you'll see it end stage, like cancer treatment or something like that, where their immune system's really kind of shot. Addicts, sometimes you'll see it too. But it's a yeast infection that sets up because in the case of babies, their immune system is still developing. So it's usually self-limiting, that bell curve, it grows, there's a lot of food, it grows too much, and then they compete and basically kill themselves off. So they'll call it self-limiting. Usually if you go to your doctor or call the doctor and say, hey, this is going on, they'll say, okay, just watch it. If the baby stops eating, because it can be painful to the tongue sometimes, all right, then we'll deal with it. And they'll give you a medication, you basically rub it on the baby's tongue and it kills it over a couple days. But if they're not having any issues and they're still eating, just let it take its course and it'll self-limit and take care of itself. Obviously in a patient that's immune compromised, like a cancer patient or and someone that's an addict, that kind of thing, then it can become a little bit more of an issue, but at that point, that's more of just a sign or a symptom of what's going on. Well, it is a sign of what can be to come, but also a symptom of the fact that their body's just shot. Human Biome Project began in 2007. Basically, we're trying to just map and determine what's normal for humans, microbes. What are normal, what's okay. Understand the relationship between the microbiome and human disease. If we have if someone has a certain microbiome, if they have certain microbes that are specific to them, are they less susceptible to certain diseases, and vice versa? Don't worry about the dates. I will never ask you dates, okay? Numbers and dates I'm not big on unless I specifically say, okay, yeah, you need to know this number. Usually not. All right, that's where I'm going to stop for today. This is more of, obviously, between 2007 and 1735. There's a bit of a difference, so we'll go back in time and kind of work our way back up starting on Tuesday. All right? If anyone had an issue with the quiz, come see me afterwards. If I didn't get you on attendance, I took attendance at the beginning.